So my mom is she has some internal bleeding, probably from the procedure that was necessary yesterday. She lost a lot of blood, and now they're getting a scan on her abdomen, and then she's going to need a transfusion, and they'll maybe go in and try to fix what's bleeding. But that said, you know, it made me think about, um, this afternoon, my mom, when she met with the oncologist, was, you know, told that she had 6 months to live, and like, how do you process that? But I think anyone over 40, 45 is in the back of their mind, and every day after that, it gets more increasingly common is you thinking about your mortality and how you're going to go. And so, like my mom, it's like, I've just been here for about an hour, and she's in good spirits. Obviously, weak from having lost so much blood, but I think mentally she's preparing for what's coming. I mean, I guess you have to, right? And in fact, she's talking about like, oh, this is where my money's stashed, and this give this to, you know, such and such can, and anyway. But it's just like, how do you process that, you know? But that said, on the same token, knowing when you're going to pass, for some people that would be a good thing to know. I personally, give me a control freak, would like to know that because you can make preparations as opposed to, just randomly passing away. And that's the thing. It's like I was on the way over here. I was driving up here. I was thinking, uh, I guess my greatest fear is my mom just passing away, like in a horrible accident or just walking around and being alone. But like, and making, looking at the glass half full. Her situation now, it's like we know what it's gonna take her, more than likely, unless it's internal bleeding or she gets an infection or something. But it's all related to this, and she'll be under constant care and watch for as long as she's with us. And I'll take solace in that, knowing that my mom will get the best care possible. And props to Adventist Shady Grove Hospital, nothing but the best care that she's gotten here and always gotten here. And uh, but yeah, it's like how do you try to make the best of this situation? And I think it's one of these things where I think of all the possible outcomes, this is about the best I could ask for, and I just hope she won't be in any pain, and I don't think she will be in any pain, um, because that's like what you worry about, that you don't want your loved one to pass with pain. And since she'll be under managed care from now on, it's like I don't think that's going to be a possibility, and she definitely don't want that alone. And um, yeah, so these are just random thoughts. I'll be here for the next 24 hours. I'm gonna wait for my sisters to get back, which we all have our lives. That's another thing to talk about. It's like there's guilt, survivor guilt, and like guilt that, oh, you couldn't be there, but like, my siblings have done so much for my mom. It's like and there should never be any guilt that they didn't do enough for my mom. But I know there will be, and there'll be plenty for me. Um, but there's only so much you can do, right? And this is one of the things when we raised Nate, and we specifically told Nate that we wanted to make sure he never had to take care of us, though he will, but we will never want to put that kind of burden on the child, and unless they want it, and we want this from my mom, so it's not a burden, you know. So
Thing that was on my mind is again about this whole, I don't even call it survivor guilt, but or caretaker guilt. I'm lucky. I have four other siblings to spread the load. My sister Florence is coming from Houston at midnight tonight um, to help care for my. I'll always share the load of taking care of my mom. And the thing is, in my mom's case, it's slightly special because she doesn't speak English. At least, rather, she doesn't speak English well. And so she actually does need someone to help interpret, or at least just make sure that mistakes don't occur, or miscommunications don't occur. So that adds another wrinkle of it's one of these things where a lot of people caregiver guilt is like, oh, I got to be there. I got to be there. If I'm not there, I feel guilty. And you're unkind to yourself because you have your own life to live. You know, I don't think, when we had Nate, we specifically made it known to us and him that we would make sure that he wouldn't have to take care of his parents. And in this case, he doesn't need it. We won't need a translator, but my mom does. And just out of the shake of the luck, there aren't that many Cantonese speakers anymore in America. Well, at least relative to Mandarin speakers, and that's what my mom speaks is Cantonese. So unless it's absolutely critical, it's hard to get a hold of a tele-interpreter. So anyway, so we have to be with my mom, especially through this critical stage, because she is, as the surgeon described, she is in critical care right now. She might look fine, but relatively speaking, but she's in critical condition. And so every little bit of proper communication that occurs is going to be better for her. And so that's why we feel guilty of having to, if we're not here. And that's the thing is, even when I was rushing over here yesterday, I told my sister Loretta I'd be here at 2. I was a little bit late. But I wanted to get my stuff done. And then you're feeling selfish. It's my stuff. Like when your mom is really sick. But the thing is that, again, you have your own life. And you gotta be kind to yourself. And know that you gotta maintain that life, because when that person is no longer with you and you're no longer caring for them, you still got a life to pick up. And but anyway, so I was rushing here and I pulled in, and Loretta had to leave basically 15 minutes before I got there, and she was filling me in on what had happened with my mom's internal bleeding. And the optimist in me was saying, oh, I'm sure it's just a little bit of a nick that happened in her GI, and she'll be fine. And that's maybe compartmentalizing, me not being there and thinking, oh, everything will be fine. But it wasn't, because it was pretty much game on as soon as I got there. And and that was this is one of these things now, like in the back of my mind. It's like, if I leave here and relieve my sisters or my brother, is something like that going to happen? I'm going to miss it and not be here for her. But there's only so much I can do, and so it's totally lost, and it's one of these things where this is something I got to wrestle with, my sisters got to wrestle with, my brother's got to wrestle with, and I think anyone else who has to care for someone has to wrestle with it. And hopefully it won't leave scars on me. And but I think it was a very prescient or very wise thing to say, to be kind to yourself when you're in the situation. Thanks for watching.